Hello, my reading pals and my writing pals. It's me, your girl Xana, and today I am going through a breakdown of exactly how much I spent on publishing my book, Through the Violet Redwoods. Through the Violet Redwoods is my debut book. It is a collection of short stories and poems, and they focus around the theme of kind of like how people deal with heavy, intense emotions or things of that nature. Much better blurb on the back of the book that I wrote but can't recite from memory. And of course, links to buy my book are in the description box down below. So, Through the Violet Redwoods was aiming to publish it in October, but due to a lot of problems outside of my control, like things with Ingram and Amazon and all of that fun stuff, it wasn't really released until November of 2021. Year to date, I think I've sold about 20 copies of it, which I don't think is too terrible, especially, for a very small author and things like that. But anyways, you guys are here for a breakdown, so as you guys can see, it's a pretty thin book. The word count is exactly 12,230 words on my Google Docs. That also includes like title page information, table of contents stuff, and all of the back matter about the author, things like that. So my book is just over 12,000 words, so keep that in mind when you are hearing these numbers for things like cost of editing and stuff like that. The first cost I spent on Through the Violet Redwoods was the first round of editing. Now you might be asking yourself, Xana, you're a professional editor, you own your own editing service, why didn't you edit your own book? Let me tell you, I did. As the author, you are expected to do several rounds of editing and revising on your own manuscript. You are expected to get it to the point where you can no longer find problems. You've looked at it for so long that it all just kind of blurs together and you hate it and yourself. I definitely got to that point a couple times, did a couple more revisions after that, and then I landed on my first revision, which was with an editor I now hired for Nightshade Publishing, or that I work with for Nightshade Publishing. I'm one of my editors. I have a couple of editors on my team. And I sent it to them to do a look through. They are a friend of mine and they offered to do it for free. I, of course, paid them for it though, because, work done is work that deserves to be paid for. And it kind of was almost like a trial for, am I actually going to use this person for future editing services? Am I not? Let's see how they do. And using my own project seemed a little bit non-consequential to give to them things of that nature. That cost me, I wrote it out of order on my list because I forgot about that edit and then I remembered about it later. That cost me $90 to have a friend who was not a professional go through my book and almost alpha read it in a sense, but they ended up finding and, making a lot of editorial suggestions, things like that I really appreciate and that I worked with them on. I gave them permission to do that. It's one thing I learned early on. When beta reading for someone, don't offer editorial suggestions, like off the bat, unwarranted, if you're going to ask the author if that's something that you can bring up. That's another video though, but yeah, so $90 spent right there. Maybe I'll keep like a running counter up there. That sounds like a lot of editing work though. After that revision, after going through the editing process with that editor, my editor, Cart, I did a couple of my own rounds of revision again. So again, that's more of me editing my book. I did edits before that first revision, like several edits. Had that person go through it, made all of those changes, and then found more things. Because when you start seeing those few first little different things that you need to take out, you start thinking of more things. Then you make more revisions. After a couple more revisions, I then sent my book to Kingdom Books Publishing, and Chi was my editor. I love Kingdom Books Publishing. I love Alyssa and Chi. Total cost of editing with Kingdom Books Publishing, I did the proof editing because I had done several rounds of editing beforehand. My own things, I'm a professional. A lot of the errors that are caught before proofreading, developmental and like line copy edits, I didn't really think I needed, and I kind of got that from my other editor. So I did proofreading edits, and that cost me $275. So add that to 90 and you get whatever the total is. I'm not doing mental math today. I've done enough mental tasks. Math isn't one of them I'm going to do for you. I'll do it here. So $275 and $90 so far is what I spent on the book. Moving on to some other things. There is art inside of my book. notably the trees on the side of title pages for each short story and poem, to art for some of the stories, ranging from small illustrations to I have 2 full-page illustrations. These were done by a very, very good friend of mine, and who's even a better friend of my younger sister, because my younger sister's best friend did the art of my book for me. She is currently an art major in college. I don't know her like specific major, but I love her. I'll have her Instagram linked down below so you can go check out her art. This is an interesting charge because I don't think you're necessarily going to get a price like this otherwise in other places. I paid for like the cost of her like commissions for doing like postcards and things for like black and white because I didn't have any color, and this was all like digital, just black and white. A lot of it is mainly just line work. So she sent me that number. I thought that number was too low, so I sent a higher number, and we met in the middle at $150. So for all of the art inside of Through the Violet Redwoods, I paid $150 for that. Some of that art is also used in the cover, but I'll get to that in a minute. Sticking with inside of the book, formatting. Formatting is another charge that you are going to come up against when doing your own book, unless you learn how to format it yourself, which is what I did. I watched a class on Skillshare. I can't remember the class off the top of my head. I'll put it right here. Hannah Lee Kidder recommended this class for formatting your book. This creator who made this class has a class on formatting your book in Word and formatting your book in Adobe Illustrator or Adobe InDesign. Yes, it's InDesign. And they have a version for physical book formatting and ebook formatting. I watched both classes for Adobe InDesign. So yeah, the formatting for my book was free because I did it myself. Time spent doing it, I know I spent hours formatting it. Setting up the formatting, setting up the font, making sure that I had the rights to use the fonts that I wanted to use, because you have to have the commercial rights for whatever font you use for a book. You can't just paste in whatever font that you think looks pretty for like drop caps letters or the interior of your book. You have to have the rights in order to use it in a book you're selling. So time spent finding fonts that I liked that I could use on the cover of the book, on the inside of the book for all of the information. Making sure that my sizing was correct, that all my text boxes were lined up, making sure that the chapter headers, the headings of my stories, the story titles for each short story or poem were lined up across the page. I still sometimes look at a couple of them and wonder, like, are you like a millimeter off in height difference or something? Like, if you have a chapter header, like, where is it? There's one in this book that, like, thoughts in the heavens. That takes up 2 lines, whereas other stories usually just take up 1. So I had to make sure that the words of the stories were lining up with the differences in size length per line. Like, a lot of time went into that. I feel like half of this video was just me talking about how long formatting takes. Formatting is worth the money to spend on someone else doing it, but if you have the time and ability and time to learn to do it yourself, I highly suggest it. If you like being stressed, like apparently I do, it's a wonderful thing to do for that. Next up is the cover, cost of the cover. I made this cover myself. I did everything on this cover 100% me, except for the filigree detail, which I got stock, and the small icons, the small little elements of the ink bottles, the violet flowers, and the dip pens. My artist did those, and they are used as art from some of the pieces in the collection. I did ask her if it was okay if I used it from the cover. She said the art is mine and I could do whatever the heck I wanted with it. So I said, cool, thanks, Margaret. I made the cover. So the cover was free. Again, time. Hours. Hours and hours and hours and days and days and days. Several videos back, you can find a video of me totally having to redo the cover because I had so many problems with the cover because of formatting issues online and figuring out what forms I was supposed to use for Ingramspark. They do not make it easy to understand. I'll do a video about it someday, or you can watch that live stream. I think I talk about it at the very start of that live stream. But yes, cover was free. So those are the two free things in my book. The formatting and the cover, but they took a long time. So if you pay for it to be done, understand that even if the dollar amount for what it is seems kind of high and kind of outrageous, like $500+ for formatting, and cover designs can go for way more than that. It's because these things take a very long time to do, and the skill to learn how to do it also takes a long time. So you're definitely paying for time spent learning the craft and time spent doing the do. Sounds weird. On to the next charge amount, which is the upload fee for Ingramspark. Now, if you're printing with someone like Amazon KDP or anywhere else, I don't think they have uploading fees. Ingramspark does have an uploading fee. You can upload your print book for $49. You can upload for just a print book if that's all you're selling. You can upload an ebook file if you only are going to be selling ebooks. I think it's for like $20 to $25. Or you can get an upload for the physical book and an ebook for $49. I'm selling both a physical edition and an e-reader edition, so I spent $49 on an uploader fee. Note, though, that if you are uploading a paperback and a hardback, those are different uploading fees. So if you're doing all three formats, e, hard, and paper, you're going to pay $49 to upload one of the physicals, and then another $49 to upload the other physical and the ebook edition. That is an important cost to consider when choosing Ingramspark. Ingramspark does kind of have like the higher quality of some of the other printing companies, the print-on-demand companies that are out there. Though I've heard that KDP is getting better about their printing qualities, and even companies like Barnes & Noble Press are having really good quality nowadays. So those are things to be looking into. Make that decision for yourself. That's not what this video is about. But yes, I paid $49 in uploader fees for Ingramspark. And then come the revision fees. Because anytime you have to change anything about your novel, including submitting the wrong file because you were confused about what kind of file to upload for Ingramspark, they will charge you. It is $25 per revision fee. For everything. You need to fix something on your physical file, $25. You need to fix something on your ebook file, $25. You need to change the cover on book, $25 each. In revisions, which I had too many of, I spent $73.42. Yeah. Those were not fees that I accounted into my budget at all. They were not things I was planning on coming across, so make sure that when you're doing your book that you're aware that you might have to make some revisions and some changes because you found something, or you need to change something in the file, or the file wasn't really the right kind of file, or something is messed up. I was having a problem with things just not printing correctly in my books, which I talked about on Instagram. I have some of those reels on Instagram still of things in my book being pixelated because of a problem with the files that I was using. So revision fees, add that to the total. Also the uploader fee, because that was just a lot. Included in that $73.42 were also the proof copies that I bought from Ingramspark. So they essentially just look like normal copies, and it's a book of pre-sale. So it was just something to look at. You know, you check the proof of it before you sell the normal edition. So it's like an author copy, but and on Ingramspark it looks normal. On KDP it has something that says not for sale. Let me grab one of those real quick, because my next expense is that I bought proofs from Amazon. Here we go. Found it. Amazon will put things like not for resale in this really ugly gray banner all the way across your book. But these are really great because Amazon doesn't charge for you to upload a manuscript. So I wouldn't have to pay an uploader fee in order to look at my book and see if it was correct. And here's the problem I was having. I don't know if you'll even be able to see it, honestly. You can kind of see that that's pretty pixelated. And I was just having problems with all the art files and things like that. I've actually never really looked at these covers side by side. Well, it's because they aren't the same cover, but I still like how the old cover looks more than the current cover, but that's neither here nor there. I spent a whopping $12.10 on Amazon proofs. Not my biggest expense. I ordered a handful of proofs to make sure that things were right, that I liked the size, that the cover was working okay, which the cover was never working okay. That's why I had to redo it. All that jazz. $12.10, not my biggest expense. Next up are two different charges technically. So when you print a book, when you publish a book, you have to have something called an ISBN. That is the barcode for your book. That is the identifier for it. It's a serial number. A barcode gets generated for it. Yada yay, yada you. It's something you need that is special for that book. Each format of your book needs its own ISBN. So for hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook, they all need to have a different ISBN. You can buy one ISBN for like $250, something like that. Or you can buy a pack of 10 ISBNs for $295, which is definitely the better choice to go if you are self-publishing and you plan on publishing a handful of novels. You can buy them in batches of 10. The best thing to do if you're publishing a crap ton of books is to get 1,000 ISBNs for $1,000. I'm not dropping $1,000 on ISBNs though, so that's not what I'm doing, but I bought a pack of 10 ISBNs, which again is $295. So you could add that to the total, and that would be one total of technically money spent that I spent, or you can take the cost of 2 ISBNs, which is about $59. So this is where the totals split for total cost of ISBNs and just ISBNs used. The next total that I'm also bringing up is, again, just for money spent in order to get this book published, and that is buying my LLC. So I have an LLC. I have a publishing company, Nightshade Publishing. I own it. I bought the rights to use this company. I don't have a trademark on it. I'm working on that. That's an expensive thing, though. I'll get there eventually. But in order to get an LLC, it varies state to state. My state charges $49 for an LLC. So I spent $49 so that I would have the company to publish the book under, so you can add $49 to that total. It doesn't need to stay over here. Wow, this video is longer than I thought it was gonna be. So the full, complete total, this side where I spent all of the money, is $993.52. That is a big total. And keep in mind, this book is this big. The book total for, just what it cost, going into this book without some of the legal fees and things like that was $708.52. I make roughly between $250 and $332 a copy sold. It varies from Amazon to Barnes & Noble to physical to ebook. So to earn back the entire amount of what I spent on my book, I would need to sell 215 copies of my book. So that's a pretty decent breakdown, I think. I think I went into good length and detail about what I spent and where I spent things and why I spent things and why I didn't spend money on some things. Going forward, I still don't think I'm going to pay for cover designs, because currently I think I can design covers just fine myself. I still haven't decided if I'm traditionally publishing my novels or if I want to self-publish my novels. Currently what I'm doing is I'm doing anthologies, and I actually really like that. Just kind of journal-length things, collections of my own work, anthologies of other people's work. I really enjoy that. I think that's something I really like. I haven't decided if self-publishing novels is the right thing for me. It's always something I've been on the fence about. I knew whether I traditionally published or self-published my novels. I wanted to do poetry collections of my own work, because that stuff can be harder to get traditionally published, and I figured, hey, I can just do it myself. Why not? Novels, I've seen other videos on YouTube about people who've spent $1,500 publishing their novels, which isn't too drastically different from my total if you think about it. A lot of their costs come from editing and cover. Those are the two things that cost the most, that you shouldn't skimp on. Now, I'm not saying if someone is expensive to automatically go with them, because expensive doesn't always mean good quality. But don't skimp out on your editors. Self-published books are notoriously known for bad editing, and they're also known for bad covers. So pay for a good cover, pay for someone to edit your book well. I offer editing services. I am a very good editor. I am a professional editor. I am getting my degree in English, in creative writing. I'm almost done with my degree program. I'll be done with it in a couple of months, so I'll have my bachelor's in English. I am very well versed in English. Look at me, not even being able to talk. Sell myself perfectly every time. Kingdom Books Publishing is also a company that I trust very much. I've seen their quality of work. I've done a little bit of work with them. They're very trustworthy. Alyssa and she are wonderful people. Alyssa and she, if you're watching this, I got you, baby. This has gone on longer than I thought it would. This is going to take me longer to edit than I thought it would. Also, I keep turning my head that said, look at this beautiful earring my sister got me for Christmas. Like, I love it. She also got me this signet ring. I've used it as a wax seal before. It feels good. I don't do it with my hand on it because that would hurt. I just take the ring off and I go boop. I stick it in my hot wax and then I've got an X wax seal. It is delightful. Love you, Doctorish. Anyways, my name is Xanna Renee. I am a writer here on the YouTubes. You can go ahead and buy my book, Through the Violet Redwoods, in the links in the description box down below. Again, it is a collection of slightly darker leaning short stories and poems. Not everything in the collection is dark. Not everything in the collection is sad. Don't believe what my boyfriend says. I publish videos here on the YouTubes about once a week about fun bookish and writing related things. I am almost at 200 subscribers, so I have plans to do a fun thing when I hit 200 subscribers. I have a giveaway coming up that I'm really excited about. Possibly have some merch. Kind of, not like exactly merch, but like fun artsy things that I am also doing. You can check me out on all of my socials. I am on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all at XannasBooks. And you can learn more about my editing company, Nightshade Publishing. I have the link in the description box down below. I am also on socials as Nightshade Publishing. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, either at Nightshade Publishing or Nightshade Editors. All the links for that are also in the description box down below. I hope you've had a wonderful time listening to me ramble about how much money I spent and how broke I am now. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.